up here in California, in San Diego actually, and when I grew up, I never actually had to think about water. Grew up right on the beach, and I would run the water in the tap, take showers, play on slip and slides as a kid, and we never really had to think about water. But water's become this increasingly huge thing in the news. You probably heard about it, because we're running out of water everywhere. Even in Sweden, where Fredrika's from, believe it or not, where they get all of this snow and rain, they are having water crises as well. So this has become a really big problem. I've heard a lot of people say that, hey, we got a lot of rain this winter, so maybe the water crisis is over. And the reality is, it's just not. We're gonna be going into 3 years of El Nino now, where we're probably gonna have extremely low amounts of rain. And so we really have to think now about how we're saving water.
There are many ways you can actually save water at home, and on our website, ZeroWasteFamily.com, we have a whole lot of resources about ways that you can save water at home, and I will put the link somewhere, here, there, somewhere, the link will be, so you can click it and check that out. But let's talk about the garden, because garden requires a lot of water if you let it. When we started to grow food in our garden, a lot of people ask us, how do you feel about growing food in your garden when there's a water crisis? Well, let me just first point this out, that no matter if you buy your vegetables from the store or from the farmer's market, or if you grow them in your garden, they all require water to grow. The benefit of growing vegetables at home is that we know how much water we can use or how to reduce it. So let us give you some tips on how to reduce water in the garden. Tip 1, remove your lawn. That was the first thing. We used to have big lawns in our garden, and you know, they were kind of fun. And we also had rose bushes. All of them require so much water, and so we actually remove the lawn. And actually in California, they have a program so you actually get a tax break if you remove your lawn. And that reduces our water use a lot.
Another thing we do in the garden to help save water is we mulch our soil. And the mulching your soil really keeps the moisture in the soil. It's really hot here in San Diego, and if you don't mulch your soil, a lot of the water evaporates. And over time, the mulch feeds the plants and the roots. So for us, a lot of times we just put grass clippings or leaves and a nice generous layer on top of the soil. Don't be shy. And you can go to your garden store and buy mulch, totally works. But we're one of those kind of funny neighbors where we see when somebody's cutting grass or they've got lots of leaves, like, hey neighbor, do you spray in your garden? And if they don't, we just take all their grass clippings and leaves from our Christmas tree last Christmas, would take all of the branches, cut them down, and just get them out in the soil. And be generous. An inch or even more on top of the soil is totally fine for mulch.
When it comes to water your garden, make sure to water when the sun is down. Don't water in the morning, especially not if it's going to be a hot day, because the only thing that's going to happen is the water's going to be evaporated by the sun and the heat. So water in the evening when the sun has gone down. That way it will give the plant the most amount of time to absorb all the water. And also consider doing some rainwater harvesting. Usually in many states you can get a tax rebate if you start doing a rainwater harvesting. And it's easy. It's like a little thing that you can put somewhere in the garden, and whenever it rains it will fill up. And you might think that, okay, it doesn't rain enough here, but you will be surprised how fast those fills up. And also rainwater is better for the garden than the drinking water anyway from the hose, because it doesn't have fluorides in it and other chemicals. So that's a really good way to save water.
Another way to save water is to think about shade. You can think about that either from the beginning, like where you put your boxes, so that it gets some shade per day, which will definitely save some water. Or you can actually, for our tomato plants, we actually, because we like to grow them in pots, it allows us to move them around so that we can actually get them into shade at the super, super hot times of the year. If you've got a garden bed that's just in full sun, during the summer, we put fiber cloth over the beds, because that actually shields about 20% of the sun rays. So the plants still get plenty of sun, but it actually shields it, so because it actually can kill plants. See, here in San Diego, they'll actually get too much sun, and it kind of holds the moisture in. Another tip is composting. We make our own compost. You can check out our bokashi composting video. We also have a worm bin, but a lot of cities and municipalities now have curbside composting, and you can get free composted big right into your soil. The reason that you want your soil rich with compost, besides the fact that it feeds nutrients to your plants, is when your soil is healthy with compost, it retains water better. Thanks so much for watching our video. We're always looking out for other water-saving tips. So if you've got one, add a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you.